Hey, I used to have a lot of trouble staying productive and doing work while traveling with my family. And after talking with a couple of my friends, I've realized that I'm definitely not the only one with this problem. But recently, I've been on vacation with my family here, and I've still been able to be productive and post these videos for you guys. So I don't want to waste your time with a catchy intro or anything. Let's just get right into the video and talk about what I've been doing. Step 1 is to find out the schedule. I'm going to be honest with you, when you're traveling, you're just not going to be able to do as much work as you would normally at home. That's just how it is. That's just the nature of traveling. You're going to have to spend time traveling with your family, which is inevitably time lost from doing work. But we have to make the most of it in some way. And to do that, we first need to find out what times we're actually occupied in, so that we can find what times we're free in, so that we can do work in those times. Now, usually you'll have maybe like 2-3 hours, like at least 1 hour of free time. Sometime maybe you're like at the hotel and you're not doing anything, where you'll have time to do work, but it's important to identify these times beforehand. Well, what if that time that you get is not quite enough for you? Well, then you have to offset your schedule from your parents'. This is basically just a complicated way of saying wake up earlier. Because if you wake up 1 to 2 hours earlier, that's 1 to 2 hours of free, uninterrupted work time that you get no matter whether you're traveling or not. Because think about it, if your schedule has the same starting point and ending point as your parents', and your parents' schedule of traveling takes priority over yours, then you're not going to be able to do any work. So if you shift your schedule over by a little bit, right, it's your parents' schedule is going to overshadow most of it, but you're going to have that little portion at the beginning that's offset, aka you wake up earlier and you get work done in that time before anybody else wakes up. The next tip is about traveling and not the stay itself. So let's say you're on the plane or it's a long car ride. Well, here's what you can do then. A lot of people I hear are like, oh, I can't work, I'm going to have a plane ride that day. You should be working, especially because you have a plane ride. A plane ride is a perfect place where you can get hours of uninterrupted work done. And in the book Deep Work, I remember there was an example of this guy who booked a plane ticket to Japan and back, right? Not to see Japan. He didn't even get to see Japan, but just to spend that time working. And he had some projects he had to get done, so he booked that plane ticket and back. And within that time, he was able to finish that project in like a miraculously low amount of time. And I still remember that example. You can work on planes. If you're a YouTuber like me, you might say, oh, but I don't have internet. When I script, I don't need internet. Docs doesn't need internet. And most of the time, at least partially, editing and Photoshop don't necessarily need internet either. So I can edit and do my thumbnail, at least most of the editing and most of the thumbnail, without internet as well. And on top of that, if you still insist that your work has to use internet, well, first of all, try to find a way where you can do something productive without the internet. And second of all, I want to point out, most planes nowadays, most big planes at least, offer some sort of internet. Like, it's not all planes, and sometimes it's paid, but a lot of planes do offer internet at this point, which means you have no excuse for not doing work in that perfect time for doing work. Step 4 is not about what you should be doing, but more about what you shouldn't. And that's trying to put work into every tiny crevice of time that you can find in your schedule. Now, I don't mean this in the sense where, oh, you did step 1 and you find your schedule and, there's a 20-minute period where you're totally free. Like, do work then, right? What I'm talking about is, let's say you went to a museum and you have to wait in line for 5 minutes to get a ticket. Don't, pull out your phone and start, doing some work. Or let's say you're at a restaurant and you've just ordered food and you're waiting for the food and you're sitting at the table with your family and they're talking to you, and then you just kind of pull out your phone and you're, sorry mom, I can't talk to you. I need to script my latest video. It's like you're gonna get 5 minutes of low quality work out of that at best, and for what? There's no point in doing that, because the gains in work done is so minimal. And also, you're traveling, you're on vacation, you need to be socializing with your family, enjoying the travel. Socializing and working are not things that mix well together. So to do any of them effectively, you need to do them individually. If you try to work and socialize at the same time, you're going to do neither well. And so generally, when you're traveling, a good rule of thumb is while you're traveling, you're traveling. While you have some free time to do work, while nothing's happening, do work. That's great. But when you're outside traveling with your family, just be with your family. Be present in that moment. Don't be so obsessed with like work that you have to pull out your phone every chance that you get and like type like 3 more numbers into your spreadsheets. Like would you want to hang out with someone that like you were in the middle of a conversation and like you stop talking for like 3 seconds and he pulls out his phone and he's like, sorry, I need to start scripting my latest video. Like, it's kind of rude, honestly. So don't be so obsessed over it that you do that. But hopefully you should be able to get enough time with steps 1, 2, and 3. And also just accept traveling is not the perfect time to do work. You do as much as you can and you accept that it's not going to be that great. But with that said, that's all for today's video. Now, if you haven't watched my previous videos and you don't know, I'm now offering 45-minute calls with me for totally free, although it's for a limited time. You can sign up in the first link in the description. You just tell me a time and you tell me your biggest problems and what you want to get from this call. And basically, you've just, with no effort at all, no cost for the time being, now I have to do a bunch of work, I have to make notes, and I have to look at your problem, and it's like watching this video, except imagine how much more helpful these videos would be if they were 3 times longer and specifically personalized to your problems, and you can ask me whatever you want. So if that sounds like a cool idea, that's the first link in the description. Again, a subscription and a like would be much appreciated as well, and that's all. I'll see you next time.